Hello everyone. So I was looking at this question on the community and I thought of making a video because this is an interesting question. Now this question is about create a budget tracker using custom fields in Jira, and I thought I have to talk about this because I have some experience doing something using Jira. Now this user is trying to basically use Jira to do some kind of budgeting, right? And what this user is trying to ask, I'm trying to pick some keywords. So we're talking about dynamic budget tracker that pulls and summarizes values, custom fields, labels, either in Jira, and then we know that this user is talking about Jira and Confluence and Cloud, company managed, blank project, basically custom schemes, and we're talking about custom fields like budget, label, and JQL filter that retrieves the issues. And I think the requirement here is that we can somehow create a list of issues, including defined fields, delivery date, client budget, retrieve all values from custom field budget, sum the values from all budget fields. So this is something that can potentially be done in Jira. I mean, of course, let us say you have Jira issues where you have a field which is added to the right screen for the right issue type. Then you can, of course, display it somewhere. It could be a list view or maybe your JQL with the custom columns. And then, of course, you can use it to understand what is happening. But whenever you're talking about Jira, where you are using a filter or a JQL to retrieve a list of issues, you will only get the list of issues. It won't really have calculations natively, of course, in Jira. So you will whenever you write a JQL, you will get list of issues. That is it. And of course, you may have like a column called budget, but it won't really be a group, like a grouped view, or it won't basically sum the information for you. For example, even if you're using the native dashboards in Jira, you won't really have like a summation of these numbers. There are apps like Tempo Budgets. I've used Tempo Budgets. It is quite good. It works nicely. And I think, as the name suggests, Tempo Budget is basically built for doing exactly this thing. And there are a few things that we can still do with the help of EasyBI. And I mean, EasyBI is just one example, because when you have data somewhere in Jira in issues, you can then report on it. And EasyBI will, of course, help you build these reports like based on those numbers, and you can do calculations on those numbers. But in the end, I would say, again, based on my experience, Jira is an issue tracker. Yes, you can add a field like budget, some number, and you can, because whenever we talk about budget, we're talking about things like, okay, let us say we have a project where customer has a budget of, let us say, £1 million. Then you have 10 epics. For each and every epic, you then start breaking it down. And we are talking about like a target budget. Then of course people will log their time, and of course now we have to calculate that number that people are logging with their day rate. So it can get actually very confusing and complicated. Tempo Budget can do a lot of these things, and it is quite good. But even in Tempo Budget, because I've used Tempo Budgets, and even with Tempo Budgets, it is not always straightforward, because one thing that is actually missing in Tempo Budget is, or basically which is not really great in Tempo Budget, is forecasting. Forecasting is a problem, and that forecasting can, of course, be done a bit using EasyBI, but again, EasyBI is not really able to always pull everything from Tempo Budgets. So my point is that whether you're using Tempo Budgets or whether you're doing something natively in Jira, Jira is not really the right tool for doing like a proper budget tracking, which is the reality. I mean, I'm a consultant, and I can tell you from my experience, yes, you can do few things, like lightweight budgeting is fine, but whenever we are dealing with money, I stay away from using Jira, because there are proper tools for doing or dealing with money, and be extra careful when it comes to using Jira for doing similar things. I've seen people trying to replace Salesforce with Jira. No, you can't do that. Yes, you can do lightweight things in Jira, and usually when you are using a tool, don't really think about solving the problem that you have right now, but also think about the future. And that is it. That is all I wanted to talk about in this video. I hope you enjoyed watching this video and you learned something new. Thank you very much. Bye bye.